Oh guys, hope you're keeping well. Still in lockdown over in the UK, so I can't do much. I'm waiting for loads and loads of parts. I've got my Time truck, twin cylinder, the Tamiya one. The body's been at the painters, I think, for over 3 weeks now. Still no word of when I'm going to get that back. I've built myself a wiring loom. Um, I bought a sort of one of those wiring sets, with the lights on like I did before, but apparently it wasn't for my truck, so instead of buying another one, because it's quite expensive, I've sort of dissected it all and made up my own wiring loom, so that's ready to go in. So I've also managed to fit a different belt for the starter, because I'm still waiting from engine DIY and Mona at Sterling Engines, so still haven't got anything back from them. I've ordered the 4-cylinder touring engine. Dennis Dempsey's got one, it sounds awesome. But they gave me a date to send it, which was today. When I actually got in touch with them to see if they've sent it, they said, "Oh, they're having a problem with the rings." So they will let me know when it's ready. But it's a self-build engine. I'm sure you've seen them. But anyway, I think that's going to be a while off. So in the meantime, I'll never buy new kits normally. You know me, I'm always fiddling about with old stuff and trying to renovate it. But I've seen this car uh, on eBay, Tamiya Club, and I've seen it on YouTube. Various people have actually got it. It's a 2020 car, um, and it looks so different and sort of radical that I thought, well, I think we'll get one of these. So I bought it over Christmas, and it's not that expensive, but it's such a nice car. But it is a lot of work, especially the body shell. And there's a few things, if anyone's considering building it, there's a few little tips and things I'll give you that might help you out, because I've sort of found out the hard way a bit. So this is the TC01 chassis. I believe, and it's the Formula E car. I mean, it's a beautiful looking thing. The paintwork on that is lovely, but that's sort of more luck than judgment, really. But I did get a few stickers on the wrong way round, and I've had to alter it a bit. You get like, I think it's almost 8-page pull out on how to do the bodywork. That's how tricky the body is. But I'll take the body off and show you the chassis. Right, now this is the TC01 chassis. I think I showed you it towards the end of my Aprilia video I did. I've got the Aprilia running really nice now. I'm really tempted to whiz it up and down the roads. I've got the seat on it in a tank, but I haven't got all the bodywork yet. I keep looking around, what sort of bodywork to get. But anyway, back to this. Yeah. That's the motor I've got in it, 4-pole motor. I've got a Castle Sidewinder ESC in it. Now, like I was saying to you, this kit, if you buy one, there are a few things you've got to get if you want to keep it. I mean, you can make it into a touring car, but there's a few things I think you ought to know. The first one is, I didn't know, you've got to run a low profile servo. If you want to run this body, I think if you want to run anybody, you've got to run a low profile servo to keep this down. The mount, you can't actually change the mount's range, it's got to go down that as low as that. Now, if you thought that was difficult, which it's not really, you just go out and buy one. Now, trying to get the radio gear, which is under here, right? So you've got a tiny little space here, and you've got a tiny little space on there. So, and you've got the drive shaft that comes from here, and it goes right under here and into the front gearbox. Now, I had the ESC and I had a receiver and everything ready to go in here, and a servo obviously, and none of it fitted. So I had high and low, asking people and finding out what they put in it, because I tried various ESCs to get in there. And don't even think about one with a fan on, because you've got no chance. You've got about 20mm height, which you've got to get in there with all the wires and everything else. So I had this, and I think it was a Tamiya TO2 Porsche, Tasman Porsche. So I thought, well, I wonder if that'll go in, and it just about clears everything, and it's a really thin ESC. And I was running, I think I run 7 kV, I think, through this for ages in the Porsche. So it's a good ESC. I've cut all the wires down, all the motor wires. I managed to get, what have I got in there? I've got a Spectrum S3002, I think I've got a receiver in there. I managed to get that under there. And they sort of give you, there's like a little guard that goes underneath the prop shaft, which is a really handy thing. So you can sort of poke the wires underneath that, so it sort of clamps all the wires in place. But I'm telling you, it is a right mission getting all the radio in this car. There's hardly any space, whatsoever. It's a bit like the old F201, which I've got sitting over there, which I'll show you in a minute. All their radio gear went in like a little piece on the back here, all over one side, But that's kind of one of the reasons I like my F201 Ferrari Formula 1 car, but the bits on it, it's just so brittle, the plastic on it there. And if you buy new stuff, it just cracks and breaks and, But this has got a beautiful suspension, action. It's so rigid, it's got no, giving it whatsoever. Nice. Rear shocks work really nice. There's no like slack or play and everything. Tamiya's certainly up their game with these model cars. Diffuser on the back there. I've put a bright red LED in the back there. I've seen some guys put some sort of flashing ones down here, but I'm going to try and link this up with a brake. So when I brake, it kind of flashes on like it's sort of harvesting. That's what I'm looking at, doing something like that with the brake. I mean, I could wire it through and on the ABS, but I don't particularly want to run ABS all the time. But I'll see how that goes. But this is the underneath of the chassis. Oh, I've got stuff on there. Anyway, yeah, got a nice bumper. I mean, it comes with a foam bumper in the kit, but you can't fill it. It's if you want to put a touring car body on it, because it's exactly the same dimensions as my associated touring car, 6.2. So you could, if you wanted to, put a touring car. The tyres, they feel quite sort of grippy. I've glued them on. I mean, probably with sweeps or Sorex tyres it'd be better, but these look nice. You've got a nice little decal on the rim. And what I've done in this one, I've fitted a spool in the front gearbox. So I've not got a diff in the front. I've got a solid drive to the front, and I've got a gear differential in the back. I might be going, we can't get a lot of bits, obviously with the problems we've got in the world at the moment, trying to get there's loads of upgrades you can get for this car, and I would like to get a ball differential for the back if I can. They do one, it's expensive, but I've been told there's a lot, massive wait, like 7 months wait for it or something like that, and things are not actually getting any better at the moment, are they? So how long that would take, I don't know. But I've got the front spool. That one here, lovely. It's a nice quality. Obviously, it's all nice and blue, but you don't see any of it. But you can get a nice big battery in here, if you want to. It all connects up right. The other thing as well is the wires. You've got to keep all these wires down as short as possible. It all gets, messy otherwise, and you can't get the body on. Now, if you look at this little light pod here, there's an actual place inside. There is like a little recess in there to fit an LED. And the wires you can just push up here, and I've kept them black so you can't see them, and I've just run it up here under that damper through there, and I've just connected it to the ESC, receiver. So when you plug it in, the light comes on. It looks really like awesome. But if I can get it flashing, and I'd like, I think that'll look good. So I'm dying to try it out, but I can't go anywhere with it at the moment, so it's just sitting on my shelf looking pretty. Now, the bodywork. I think I counted the parts. There's 9 parts that you have to cut out and screw together. And, you know, if you're a bit of a basher, I don't know if this would be the car for you, because it's very fragile all around here. It's, you know, the bit that you need to be the strongest is a bit that's quite sort of, it's quite flimsy. But it does say in the instructions that you could leave this part in. So you could leave this part clear, and that would really strengthen, you know, that up. That'd be like really good. But I want it to look like the real thing. Am I gonna use this in anger? I will run it round and probably have a little race with a mate of mine, but I'm not gonna like go crazy with it. It's just so nice, you know. Now the body shell, it comes with the main actual body, and it's in a great big kind of like square Lexian mould, and you end up cutting all of it away up to here. So you've cut like all around the back, and you cut all the way along here, and it ends up with a tiny little piece, you know, out of that great big lump of Lexian, and you end up with this tiny little flat piece, you know. So the other parts, these parts here, they're in another mould. So you get 2 of these, and it's another great big mould, you know, to get this shape. And again, on this side, another great big mould. There's moulds that go on here, which carry up to the wing. So this is another moulding, which comes down here, all the way down here, and along that front piece there. So this bolts on. You can see the little 2mm screws. So that bolts onto there, and then you've got this beautiful wing, which I think is just like a spaceship, isn't it? You know, that's just a magic thing, that is. That goes on with double-sided tape, and then you put these little screws in here to hold it in. These go on with double-sided tape and little screws as well. And there's also a little panel in there which you have to cut out, and you double-side tape that onto there. You've got the halo around there. All this is done with decals. All this, all the blue striping. I mean, you do get a bit fed up with putting the blue stripes on, because they, you know, they go round and round. You know, they go up the wing, round the top here. I did have these on the wrong way round. I had the black at the front, so that was something else I had to. I managed to get them off, hair dry them, put them on the right way round. The driver, I thought I wanted something to break the sort of colour up, and they say sort of the mirrors are supposed to be gunmetal, it's this sort of colour, and the crash helmet is supposed to be gunmetal as well. But I want to sort of liven it up a little bit, so I've done them yellow. I normally do box art if I can. All my stuff is normally box art, and I think this is a superb colour. It's bright gunmetal silver, and PS, I can't think the number now, they're black. That's all you need. But be warned, it's very thin. The silver paint is very thin. Just build it up in like very thin layers, you know. I didn't back it off, but maybe I should have backed it off. But obviously, you know, it's, if you put too much on, it don't look so nice and metallic-y. If you don't put enough on, you can see when you bolt these bits on, because they go underneath, when you bolt them on, you can see it underneath, you know. And I had to spray mine again. I had to take that off and mask it up and spray that again. So it's a very thin sort of paint, you know. It's a nice colour. Mirrors go on with the old body clips. That holds a halo on, more body clips. The halo, I mean, all these are decals. It's a great use of decals, really. I know somebody said, oh, there's a limit to what you can do with decals, but if you take your time, I mean, what I normally do, I use a little bit of soapy water. So I spray the body with soapy water and the decal. So it gives you a little bit of chance to, if you get it wrong, you can peel it off and have another go. But the other thing, as well, I was going to say, I drilled all the holes out first. I marked all around here with a Sharpie pen first, so you could see where you're cutting. That's a, you know, and I'm still a bit dubious because the decals on the front here are not quite the right shape. But you mark, draw all around the cut lines first with a little Sharpie pen all around, so you know what you're cutting out, because there is a hell of a lot to cut out on all the parts. And then I marked on because you've got the overspray protective covering on the outside, you've got a lot of holes to drill. So I went to the instructions and I drew on top of the overspray protection what size all the holes were. I think these were 4mm, 6.5, 6.5. The halo I think was 4mm, the crash helmet was 3mm. So I drew them all on the top, so I knew where they was all gonna go. So I did them first, and I did all the 2mm ones as well. And I cut all to the cut lines and everything, and I painted it all, and then I come to fit it together, and a lot of these parts didn't line up, and I had to sort of fettle them a bit before I could get that, because what it does, it drops into a little recess there, and if you don't, mine were too long, even though it was cut to the cut line, it was too long, so when you screwed it in, it kind of stuck out a bit. So it's not easy trying to sort of file and cut something once you've painted it. So what I would say to anyone who's building one of these is to cut all the bodywork out and then trial fit all the parts till they get them all fitting nice. I'm not 100% happy with it, but it's okay. So that is the Tamiya Formula E. I think it's a absolutely wicked looking thing, like a breath of fresh air. I don't normally buy new kits, but I couldn't resist this one. But the body is a pain. If you don't like doing body work, I suggest you either get someone else to do it or you don't buy it. You need specific radio gear to fit in this thing. You can't just fit anything you've got lying about, that I found out. I should have done my homework first and got myself a low profile servo and stuff like that, but I didn't, and lucky enough I got one fairly cheap. But it's awkward to get parts, because I bought this sort of over the Christmas period, and it's hard to get parts over Christmas, but I did manage to get a servo, and I've got it all in there, but it is a mission. But it's quite an enjoyable build, really. Doing the bodywork, some people either hate it or they like it, and when you first start out on it and you're cutting out, you think, oh my god. I think it took me 9 hours to cut all the bodywork out and grind all the radius in the corners and stuff like that. It took me 9 hours to cut all the parts out and drill it. I think the next day it took me probably 7 hours to mask it all up and paint it. And I believe this was over a weekend. I think on the Sunday, I think it took me nearly 6 hours to put all the decals on. So, it's quite a mission, but it was okay. It was pouring the rain outside, we're in lockdown, so there's not a lot else you could be getting on with. I use a hairdryer as well, so I use soapy water, put the decals on, and if you want to stretch them sort of nice around some of these parts like this, I used a hairdryer, because after you use a little bit of water, they still stick. But if you just put a hairdryer on it, not really hot, but just sort of warm, and you can just blend all these corners, and it really does stick, nice. So that's where I am with that. Now I think I showed you in the last video when I was getting the bike up and running. This was kind of like the predecessor to that, with the same kind of. You've seen the suspension. I love these cars. I sort of come into these quite late, and now they command a really lot of money. I'm looking for a really nice body for this, because I did have a really mint one with all the alley parts on it and all that, and I sold it to a mate of mine who loves it, and we race with it, and they're just beautiful things to drive. They're four-wheel drive, as you know, and they've got ball diff front and back. Now, we found that it's best to run the back a little bit slippy, because they've got this habit of breaking. I think it's a 2.5 screw or 2mm screw that goes through the ball diff. Now, if you run the diff a little bit tight, it will keep breaking that screw. And we bought high tensile ones, and they're still broken through the screws. So what we found is, and it handles better as well, is to just run the back one, just back it off a little bit, so you've got a little bit of slip from the back one. I mean, they weigh next to nothing. Run the front one pretty tight, and you've got, you know, it's a sort of understeery sort of car, but you can be a hooligan with them, and you can, you know, really hack them around the track. The only thing that lets them down is they're so fragile. Again, I mean, I've never broken suspension arms and stuff like that, because they seem like a different plastic. But the sort of rockers and stuff, like I said to you, I made these rockers up because these here, you know, I bought brand new ones, and you put them on, and then you go and use the car, and as you pick it off the shelf, they just break. You know, they're just, it's like a similar plastic, you know, like the boomerangs, hot shots and things like that. You know, I've had a few of them, and you leave them on the shelf a couple of weeks, pick them up, and the wishbone will drop off or something. It's just, they seem to crack all around the seams. Like these have got a seam. I don't know if I can, where are we? Yeah, these have got a seam that goes up there, and they just break along the seam. I don't know if you can see that there. They just snap. And, you know, I have tried to do a few little mods like that in the past, which saves them, but eventually they will just break. And the other parts that break on them is the tops here, where these wishbones go on. I don't know what these wishbones are made out of, but they're really good material. But the gearbox, again, you can see it, it's like a shiny plastic, you know. Oh, I didn't want to do that, did I? I knocked my tea everywhere. Oh well, never mind. But as I was saying, this plastic on here is like sort of, it's that same hard plastic on here. Where are we? On there. And also, let's get my tea off my wheel. I'll tell you what, they're good tyres they are. They're they've got an option tyre. They've got a belt in them, stop them flaring out. They're fantastic grip-wise. There's the rockers I've made. But again, where these mount to, here, and across here, these gearboxes, they just shutter. There's only like self-tapping screws in there. And they don't go in very deep, because they can't, because there's two halves. You've got them in there, and you've got them up through the bottom and in the top. So it's kind of, you're sort of limited. The parts for these are getting really, really hard to find. Gearbox cases, all the stuff that breaks. You can pick up plenty of wishbones, stuff like that. But trying to find, you know, the rockers, almost impossible to find. The gearbox halves, you know, I've not seen them on eBay. So I did like a little mod with this. I've actually drilled through there, and it goes right through to the bottom there. That's to modify the chassis a little bit, but you can see like there's a lock nut in there. So instead of having short self-tapping screws in there, I've actually gone right through to the bottom, so this whole part just clamps up together. So, you know, these actual wishbones now are pivoting on, I think it's 40mm screws, and the bottom. So the two wishbones, top and bottom, pivot on the same bolt which goes through. So it makes it immensely strong, because what it was before was it was just the screws, you know, they only go into there probably about 5mm, self-tappers, and because the plastic was so brittle, it just used to snap off. So, you know, the front end of this is, you know, it's really strong now with these screws going down. And I think if the back one, if this rear one starts playing up, I will do the same to the back, because you can't get parts for this, so you've got to make do with what you got. You know, there's a lot of shelf queens out there, you know, I don't really do them. There's a fair bit of slop in some of the parts, not too bad. As you can see from the wheels, we have a bit of, you know, wheel-to-wheel racing. But hopefully now, the only thing that I had braking on this car with these rockers. So I'm hoping now with that you know, this is going to be okay, because it's a good chassis, a very good car. And you know, I remember going back, if you go back sort of, what can I say, 12, 13 years ago, when I had my local model shop, I remember seeing them in there and they was like £80 for a brand new kit because no one wanted them. And they've slowly gone up in price. Brand new kits now, you'd be looking at little like £450, £500, especially the Williams. The Williams is sort of quite a rare car. And when I first bought this, I could get parts for it, you know, quite easy. The diff gears are plastic, but they're not too bad. Like I say, if you run the diffs a little bit loose, you know, it seems to look after the transmission. I did have one of these with a 770 kV in it. It was a Castle Creations, but it was very heavy motor, and I kept breaking the diff screws and stuff like that. So I took that out, and I've not I don't really know what to do with that motor. It's just like, probably be good in a dragster, but it's saying that it's only you know, actually that's the next thing I've been looking at. I've been looking at dragsters. You know, that's kind of I've run out of cash at the moment because I just spent sort of £500 or more on the Tamiya 4-cylinder engine. You know, like I said, I'm really looking forward to getting that, but I've got no idea what I'm going to put it in. Absolutely no. Well, I have got an idea, and the thing I was going to put it in was quite cheap. Sort of, again, I forget how things go up. But it was sort of, probably 10 years ago, you couldn't give them away. But all of a sudden now, they've started getting collectible. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to wait and see. But that's if I can get one, I think it'll be quite good. I'll give you a clue. It is a 3-speed, and it is a truck. They come out, I would say, 15 years ago, something like that. And they make different version of them even now, but they're mainly, like everything is these days, is electric. So I just want a tatty old, you know, one with a chassis and a gearbox, something like that. But obviously now I'm looking for them, I can't find them. And this little motorbike behind me, this little Aprilia, that's going to cost me a lot of money because I don't know what way to go with the fairings, the paint job on it. I'm looking, you know, I like, this is a sort of standard colour scheme. That's a sort of colour scheme. And it's nice. I'm not sure. But there's a lot of other stuff out there. There's the Chinese ABS like reproduction fairing kits, you know, and they come with everything you need. It's all painted and got quite good reviews, you know. But it's getting it shipped over here, and at the moment I don't know how long it's going to take. With the problems we've got in the world, like I said, everything's sort of disappearing. You know, trying to find bits for model cars and that at the moment is really difficult, and anything else in the world. And I don't know how long it would take me to get, you know, them fairing panels from China. So I'm sort of looking into that at the moment. But then I'm also thinking, well, could I have my fairings painted? Because, you know, they're fairly sound. You know, I've seen worse. The front fairing's not too bad. There's the side panels that are the worst, really, but they could be repaired. But the price of painting, I mean, I can't believe the price of painting, you know, myself. And they need to be repaired. I think that is going to cost me, you know, an arm and a leg. So I've got a couple of places where I'm going to go and see if I can get some quotes on the paintwork for it. I'm still not sure what sort of schemes to do at the moment. You're spoilt for choice, you know. But I've got the seat and stuff on it now, so hopefully I can go out for a little ride on it. It all's running really nice at the moment. I managed to get a main jet for it. I managed to get, someone sent me a link to get some main jets. So I've gone from a 170, which is like huge, and I've gone to a 135 in it. Got all the airbox on there, and it starts straight away. A little problem with the starter motor, but I've sorted that. So first button, she starts, and it sounds lovely, and really crisp, you know. I can't stop just revving it up, you know, just like a kid. But anyway, hopefully I might get my Toyota body back this weekend. I don't know. I can't keep chasing the man up. And if I get that back, I'll try and get the light kit in it and get it fitted to the truck, because you know, I really want to try that again. I've got the lower gearing on it. Whether I can sort of sneak out and find somewhere, or even just run it up and down the road, I don't know. But I want to try and give that a run, because I've only run it once, Christmas morning, and then we went after Christmas straight into lockdown. So, and I've got my helicopter due. I was looking at that tonight. I guess while I'm waiting for all these parts, I can get on and I mean, the Aprilia really is finished. It just needs the bodywork for it, and I think it's just the bodywork. Mechanically, it's all working. Oh, indicators, I've got to sort out some indicators for it, but I need to get the bodywork first, so I'll see where they go and make some plugs up and stuff like that. So I think my next video might be on the Robbie helicopter, because I'm going to go back into that while I'm waiting for parts, or if I get the body back, I'll have a go at the Toyota again and put all the lighting kit in it, and we'll have another little play with that, because, you know, it's just sitting there, you know, 3 weeks to paint a body. But there you go. So anyway, guys, I'm going to sign out now, and look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys.